Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. Today we have on Tim and Renee, also known as the Thru Hikers on their social media handles. The last time we had them on, we were talking a lot about their thru hiking. Now they started getting into some fastest known time attempts, or FKTs, on the Ozark Trail and on the Oregon section of the PCT. We're going to be really diving into the mental and the physical aspects of these FKTs because that's just things that I'm curious about, man. I think it's really cool, the reasons why people do them, and then also exploring some of the turnback moments they each experience in each one of these so that we can take lessons away from these experiences when we're doing tough things ourselves and then realize, hey, some of the tough things that we're doing might not even be that hard in relation to some of this stuff. So hopefully it's inspiring. We're also going to be getting into their food strategies on trail, some of their favorite gear. I'm not a big gear guy, but I am very interested in, hey, what was your best piece of gear that you used on this very, niche thing you were doing on the trail? We're going to be talking about a little bit about their book that they had. We're going to be talking about freeze drying meals, staying healthier on trail and all that type of stuff. So Tim and Renee, this is a great episode. I hope you guys enjoy. Let's get to the podcast. This was one of my most requested pair of guests to come back on the podcast. So what's going on, guys? What's new in the life of Tim and Renee?
Oh man, too much. We've been having a lot of fun this year, just kind of taking it easy, and we're not good at going slow. So taking it easy for us means doing a lot of little trips, but no 3,000-mile hike this time around, which has been pretty cool.
That is actually a question that I'm interested in is how do you guys frame these smaller trips in comparison to the 3,000 milers? You know what I mean? Like how do you guys still whet your appetite for adventure when you've been gone for 6 months and then maybe you do a 3-4 day outing? How does that work for you?
Yeah, it's actually really hard mentally to find after you do a thru hike, you always want to do a thru hike, right? Something from point A to point B, to feel accomplished. And we told ourselves this year, let's go explore some places we've never seen and have a goal of not doing a thru hike of something point A to point B and trying to find satisfaction out of that. And yeah, we've been gone to some really cool places, and so it's been good.
And it would have been places that you would have never thought about visiting, because I saw one where it was Northeastern California or something like that.
Northeastern California, that place is crazy. We got a YouTube of it coming out really soon that probably by the time this airs it's out, and I just had no idea that anything was there, and I feel kind of bad about that because people live there. Actually, Northeastern California is the longest continuously inhabited place in the country, according to something I read. So 5 or 10,000 years continuously people have been living there. And anyway, it's full of volcanic stuff. It's got the craziest rocks you've ever seen. It's got caves. It's got wilderness you can hike through. It was so cool.
Yeah, we were like kids because we were just playing with rocks. It was really fun.
I saw that. I saw one where it was does pumice float or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It turns
That's
out it's
awesome.
hard to film whether or not pumice floats when all you have to float it in is a little backpacking stove.
Man, the obstacles of filming, man. Yeah, no, I totally get that. That's hilarious.
But yeah, so there was that trip, and then we did a kind of little trip almost a year ago. We did the lowest to highest route.
That was a thru hike, though.
That was a thru hike, but it was what, a week, something like a week.
Yeah.
Smaller.
It was so cool. We
did a ski around Crater Lake. That
okay,
was pretty cool.
I had a question about this one, guys. So I used to live in Oregon, and this was on my bucket list for a while, but then I ended up moving, and it's still kind of on my bucket list. So can you tell me a little bit about this? First of all, would you ever do something like that again, or was it just total suffering for you? And how did the skis work for you guys? It looked like that was a good way to get around, like the cross-country style skis.
Yeah, it was, I would definitely do it again. It was fun. It was, cold at times. We had a snowstorm on the last day, but it was worth it. And we used cross-country skis, and our friend who came with us used backcountry skis. And yeah, the combination together wasn't great because we were faster on the flatter parts and he was faster on the ups and downs. But
or the other way to phrase it is we were super slow on the ups and downs and he was super slow on the flats with his skins. So
I was going to say, so he used skins to go around the whole thing. But
Yeah.
I would imagine that most of it is generally pretty flat though, right?
not quite.
it was more hilly than we expected, I guess.
Interesting.
I think
Okay.
I think my takeaway was it would be a good route in either type of skis, but not both. So cross-country skiers can ski it. There's a few like hilly parts that are a little hillier than you'd want, and backcountry skiers, it's a little more flat than you'd want. But the only problem was that we had both types at once.
And so you'd have one person way ahead, back, or vice versa type of thing.
Yeah, we were just always slow. The parts where anybody's skis excelled, we were slow. But
I bet getting up those hills were sucked with cross-country skis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
And that was a learning experience too. There's actually some avalanche risk areas out there, so we postponed our trip initially to find a weekend when we didn't have to worry as much about that. And we learned a little bit, and the friend we went with knew more than we did about avalanches, so we felt safe. But it's something to factor in that there are sketchy parts where you want to be aware that avalanches can happen.
So, I mean, obviously you had to change a bunch of stuff in your kit probably, right? Like bring in either more gear, an extra pad type of thing. So, I mean, where does winter camping land for you guys? Is it something that's enjoyable, something that you can learn to enjoy? You know?
Yeah, I think it's something that you can learn to enjoy, but yeah, you kind of have to be in the right mindset.
Right?
I mean, it's a sufferfest when it gets cold. There's like, most of the day you are moving, and that's fine, or sleeping when you're cozied up in your sleeping bag, that's fine. It's just those in-betweens when you're getting camp ready or getting the morning ready where it's cold. But
And you're
we
sitting there
didn't bring
boiling
extra
water.
pads. What's that?
Sitting there boiling water.
Boiling water sucks. It
Dude,
just
sucks.
I don't understand how it can take so long. But we didn't bring extra sleeping pads. I think that's interesting, worth noting.
Okay.
We use the foam pads, which are not puncturable, and we kind of thought we might bring extra pads, and then we didn't, and it was okay.
Probably
Really?
would have done it, brought 2 pads or something in the future, but it was okay.
Yeah. Everybody says, like, look at the R value of those foam pads. They aren't good enough. But we've camped on single layer foam pads in the winter many times. And
That's savage.
yeah.
Nice, dude.
But, like, not trying to kill ourselves, just, we probably told you on the last podcast, one of our worst experiences ever was going with a inflatable pad that popped and not having the backup foam pad. So in the winter
in
and 0
Wisconsin.
degrees, yeah.
Ooh, how did you get through that one?
Yeah, that was bad. We took turns using the inflated pad, and we were doing laps in the middle of the night around the tent to stay warm. It was bad.
Whoa. Where was this?
Headwaters Wilderness in northern Wisconsin. Maybe you know it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that right by Three Lakes and Rhinelander area. That night it got down to approximately 0 Fahrenheit, so minus 18 Celsius. That was miserable.
Wow. And oh my gosh. So you guys actually had to get out of the tent and do laps around. I mean, dude, that's insane. That's literal survival stuff. Right?
Yeah, and that was like what, 10 plus, must have been 10 plus years ago. Haven't used an inflatable pad since.
I see. Well, this makes sense. That makes sense now. Wow. Okay. Okay, so Crater Lake. Okay, so here was the other thing I wanted to ask too. So you do these 3,000-mile adventures. You're gone for 6 months and stuff like that. Is that where you guys started to think about doing FKT style things, was to kind of get a challenge for yourself in a shorter window, but still get a real high, challenging adventure done? Is that where those came from?
Yeah, I think, yes. It was, what can we do to challenge ourselves, similar to walking 3,000 miles. But yeah, I think we just, always hear about people doing FKTs when you're on a thru hike. You always hear about that. And so we were following the FKT website on Instagram, and I saw that someone set an FKT on the Oregon PCT and kind of did the math and thought, okay, she hiked 28 miles per day. That seems doable for me. Maybe this would be a good challenge for me. So that's kind of how the idea sparked in my head.
That's so cool. Okay, so both of you guys did FKT. So I'm really interested. There's always this Turnback moment that folks have during a super hard challenge, right? I would love to hear, what were your 2 specific Turnback challenges on each trail, if you can think of one.
What's a Turnback challenge? Can you define that?
So, yeah. So it'd be, I don't know if I can keep going or if I want to keep going. All these obstacles have piled up, whether that's, I'm not getting enough sleep, I puncture my pad, this or that, right? Like, I'll tell you from my own experience, one of my Turnback moments, and I talk about this a lot on podcasts, but it was when I was in my 100-miler training, ultra marathon training, and I basically I was over in Central Oregon, in Bend, Oregon, right? And I went over there because it had been raining, because I was from the west side. It had been constantly raining, and I was just training in constant rain all the time. So I went over to Central Oregon to not run in the rain. Well, when I woke up the next day, what was it doing? It was raining. So I was so pissed, and I drove 4 hours back over the pass, and I got home, and I still had to run 16 miles. And it was raining there too. And I just sat on the edge of the bed. This is in the middle of my training, and I just sat on the edge of the bed, and I'm just like, I don't want to do this. Like, I'm so over this. I hate it. And my girlfriend at the time was like, oh, you don't have to do that. You'll be fine. Like, she's trying to comfort me. But I knew in that moment, if I didn't do that run, that's how, if I even got to the 100-miler, I would quit in some way. You know what I mean? So anyway, Turnback moments. Yeah. What comes to mind for you guys?
Yeah, I think the day I started, it was kind of a high snow year, the year I did the FKT, and the day I started was a crazy heat wave. So it was really hot, and I just started walking and hit snow pretty quick right into it. And I was just like, how am I supposed to do an FKT in a heat wave with snow? And I was like, well, this is the 2 weeks I took off of work. I have to give it a try. And, I restructured my life around this. So this is my chance. I just have to do it. And it's not the perfect timing in terms of weather, but it is what it is.
Holy cow. So you're saying right off the bat, you already have to contend with hot weather, but not only hot weather, like literally the total opposite of it.
Yes.
With being snow, and then obviously slow snow travel.
Yes.
So your kind of reframing was, hey, I already got everything in line, and you know what I mean?
Yep.
And I got to go. So I'm guessing it got better then as you went.
It was a lot of snow for sure, more than ideal for a FKT, but I just went through it.
Dude, that's
the
so
day I
cool.
dropped her off. I was driving back from the trailhead, and the car registered 119 degrees in the Central Valley.
In Oregon?
No, in Central Valley. The
Okay.
Ashland, Oregon, which is the nearest city, forecast that day was 111. So
really,
those were the temps she was, and you were up in the mountains, so you were probably below 111 by a little bit, but it was hot.
But still, wow. Okay. So, that's what I love to hear. And I think and we'll hear from Tim here in a second, but I think this is really good for people to listen to when they're listening to a podcast, because even the thru hikers, they can get into these Turnback moments. So everybody always, they post their PCT documentaries and this and that, and it's Candyland, and they're dancing and unicorns and all this type of stuff. But this stuff happens, and it happens more often than you think. So, Tim, what was yours?
So I had some foot problems.
I saw this.
Yeah.
I had a question about
A lot
that.
of people saw it. That was unexpected. They've got, I don't know, 24 million people saw a close-up of my moldy, decaying feet.
For free.
For free. No, so I had these foot problems due to all of the water and wet feet and so much walking that I could never give my feet a chance to dry out. And there was a pretty distinct turnback moment for me, which was day one happened and it was hard and tiring, but kind of as expected, and my feet started hurting a little. Day two, my feet were hurting worse, but still I did my 50 something miles and it was okay. And day three, I woke up and it just hurt so bad on my feet, like openings in my feet. And the goal that day was to do 60 miles, like the goal every day had been. I missed that goal every day. But as I started walking the morning of day three, the pain was so severe that I was moving like a tenth of a mile an hour for the first while and just putting as much weight as I could on my hiking poles instead of my feet and just thinking like, I don't know if I can do this. It was this very sad moment of physically I might fail due to unexpected physical reason. I was ready to be too tired or too weak or whatever, but I hadn't really thought about the possibility of that kind of injury stopping me. And so then I took steps over the course of a half of a mile, and the pain was extreme, but I was speeding up and the pain was dulling. So it was sort of, I had to condition my feet to ignore that severe pain. And I did. And I got lucky. That turnback moment was coupled with probably the 20 easiest miles of trail. So I went from thinking I might have to quit to actually having my most miles by 10 a.m. that I've ever done on a hike. It was 20 something by 10 a.m. I think. So yeah, it just shifted from this terrible moment to a pretty wonderful experience pushing through it and figuring out that no, I just suffer through the pain and I can still do this.
I think with both of those stories, it's very important to highlight that it's almost, this is what I always tell myself, is like, just go until it doesn't make sense anymore. And you're kind of just slowly, like, you're kind of keep going, just keep going a little bit more, keep going a little bit more. And in both of those stories, it almost seems like that's kind of what happened for both of you. And then all of a sudden you're just like, oh, it got better. Here we go. And if I would have quit it that first time, there wouldn't be any FKTs.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard. You don't want to have that attitude to the point of getting injured or seriously injured. I mean, yeah, cuts in my feet were an injury, but the question was, is this something that could cause permanent damage? Could the snow on Renee's trail cause her to slip off the side of the mountain? So it's a tough balance between being safe and taking risks seriously and also being willing to push the boundaries. And it's not always obvious where the boundary is. So,
dude, I kind of got into a similar situation. I guess I was on this 14er in Colorado. It was called Snowmass Mountain. And it's one of the longest ones you do. It's like a 22 miles. And, you're up on the Snowmass. And so you're bringing crampons and ice axes and all this stuff. And I was going up on the east side with this group of people. And it was fine. We were in snow or whatever using crampons. It was thick snow. And then we get to the ridge. And you're supposed to get on the west side of the ridge and then scramble to the top. Well, once we pop to that ridge, you look at it and you're like, man, I wasn't expecting snow on this side of the ridge. And it wasn't a lot of snow. I mean, your crampons wouldn't have done anything. Your ice axe wouldn't have stuck in. It's over no fall zones. And so I kind of scrambled the ridge a bit. And I was like, man, this just doesn't make any sense anymore. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I love that for myself. Like that is kind of where I choose to kind of draw the line, because you're totally right. You can totally David Goggins it. and then you're over the cliff, or you fall, snow in Oregon, or I don't know, your feet have to get amputated or something like that, man. I mean, dude, looking at those feet, was that just, so that was from how wet the trail was?
Yeah, that was the moisture of it. It was spring was the wrong time to do that trail. So that is my biggest learning, is I should have done it in the fall. But in the spring, the trail has a lot of elevation changes. You're not climbing massive mountains, but you're going up a ridge, down a ridge, up a ridge, down a ridge. And pretty much every single time, not pretty much, 100% of the times that I descended, there would be a river crossing at the bottom or a creek crossing. And, some of these were deep, like chest deep on the extreme ones. So yeah, there was whatever footwear I wore, there was no way around having wet feet. And
wow.
Yeah, that's how. And then because I was stopping for 0 to 2 hours a night to sleep, they were never drying out. So usually I'm cool with wet feet, and every day I dry out my feet, but I hadn't factored
you have time
that
to
in,
do that. Yeah,
so much time walking meant no drying out.
Holy cow! Yeah. And so did you got those? It's not that I'm fascinated with Tim's feet by any means, but but maybe I'm just kidding. No, because I had a similar situation. It was not that hardcore, but where we were doing another 14er. We failed this one, but I was in wet snowboard boots for 2-3 days. And I got I still have these like fissures in my heel. Mm-hmm. So is that something that you've taken from the trail, or have those healed, or?
No, look at that. 100%.
Wow.
Yeah, they are 100%. But on the Continental Divide Trail, I got a fissure in the ball of one of my feet that took, 6-8 months to fully heal. It was there for a long time.
What did you do for it? Did you put anything on it?
No.
You did nothing for it.
I just looked at it.
Willed it to heal, yeah.
But it was a very long time before it healed. And you had numb feet after the Continental Divide Trail, right?
Really?
Just like, I think I was, one of my toes was like numb, and I remember I called my dad and was like, I just have this numb toe. I can't feel it. And he's like, oh, don't worry about it. That happened to me in my training for Ironman, and it's back to normal now. So yeah, you'll be fine. So that was really a confidence boost for me.
There you go. I didn't know your dad did Ironman. Does he still do them too?
No, he's done one. I think, but he's still running, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty inspiring. He had never done this kind of thing before. He was, golfing was his thing, and Tim and I did an Ironman, and he just watched us and was inspired by us and just decided one day, maybe I should try this. And he got into triathlons for a few years and did an Ironman. So
dude, that's so cool.
At 60 some years old, he just decided to take up triathlon. So
man, you never know who you're going to inspire to even be your parents. That's so cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of him. It was pretty fun to watch him.
So on these high intensity FKTs, I'm curious because you guys are big fans of, I know at first you guys were dehydrating food. Now you went to freeze drying, right?
We do both. For sure, both.
Okay. I didn't know because I was looking online, do you prefer one or the other for certain types of foods, or what do you guys?
Yeah, so not everything can be dehydrated. So, like fattier stuff, especially, you can't really dehydrate fat. So, and you can somewhat freeze dry fattier foods. So,
yeah, like we have a video up of trying to dehydrate and freeze dry guacamole, and total failure from the dehydrator, but it kind of worked in the freeze dryer. Oh, it didn't kind of work. It worked really well. It's just freeze dried food can have a 25-year shelf life. The guacamole, after 7 months, it was still good, but you could tell it was not as good as on day 0 because of that fat content.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
But yeah, both methods are great. Really, the dehydrating is way cheaper to get into So I would always recommend, if you're curious, people should get into dehydrating first. It's also way easier. Like when we take food out of the freeze dryer, if we don't bag it up and make it airtight right away, it'll start soaking air up out of soaking moisture out of the air,
Really?
which is kind of a problem for filming because we always want to film a bunch of it and can't do that without it getting moist again. But dehydrated food, like we'll turn off the dehydrator and then wait 2 days before we put it in a bag sometimes.
Right. Now, I'm sure you guys took some of that food, or probably most, if not all of it, all of your food on the FKTs were some type of dehydrated or freeze-dried food that you guys made, I'm guessing. What seemed to be, was there like a food that kind of was your go-to, during these things?
Yeah, I think I didn't bring any freeze-dried food. I brought a bunch of dehydrated food to cold soak. I didn't bring a stove. I just cold soaked my dinners and lunches. But I actually was having the problem where it was so hot, I was having a hard time eating. So I honestly wish I would have brought some like liquid calories instead, so that I could eat more. So learning.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I've gone to that, especially when you're at altitude and stuff like that. There's a maltodextrin powder you can get for freaking like $20, 200 servings, and it's 200 calories a serving. You just throw it in your water or whatever, and you don't even taste it. You drink it down. Like, man, this is what I need, man.
We both started doing that for ultra marathons. Really, any longish run. I don't eat anything. I only do Scratch Labs super high carb drink. You can get 400 calories in a water bottle. It's like formulated to provide sustenance, and so I skip aid stations every time we're doing a long run now. Renee still stops for fruit, but I skip them, and it works for me.
I love that. Yeah. Well, aid stations are where dreams go to die sometimes in those long ultras. It's like people will just be vortexed into those things and then next thing you know, it's like a half hour's gone by. You're like, whoa, what happened here?
Well, it's so pleasant. It's like, okay, I was running and in pain, and now I'm just sitting here eating. This is great. I could spend
There's
my whole
music.
life at an aid
Yeah. I know, right, dude? Yeah. So what was your go-to food on your FKT, Tim? Or were you doing a lot of the liquids?
No, I wasn't, and I should have been. And we were even doing the liquids by then, so I don't know why I didn't.
You had it for breakfast, I think.
I had liquids for breakfast, but not that super high carb drink. I should have. For breakfast, I was making like a protein shake with stuff in it. Eating was okay. It was mostly a time problem for me where like I was walking slow, really slow with those broken feet. So hitting 50 miles days was taking the entire day and not giving me time to sit down for more than 5 minutes every few hours. But I had freeze-dried some food in advance that worked really well. So I had these quiches, which are like, Renee came up with the idea. They're good. We made some quiches and freeze-dried them and then ate them like a bar. So it was a, how to describe it, a no-cook, crunchy quiche. We cooked it before we freeze-dried it, but on the trail, just open the bag, munch on the quiche, and that was pretty fun. So, and it worked because it was savory. It was the simplicity of a power bar, but not the, everybody's sick of Cliff Bars and things. And so it was just as easy, but didn't feel like I was forcing another Cliff Bar down my throat.
And didn't get sick of it as fast or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, my morning shakes were really killer. And then I was just loving the ramen out there. It's surprising how rewarding, how satisfying ramen can be. Because it's ramen, right? It's not good stuff, but it's so salty. And when you just want salt, man, it's good.
I agree. Yeah. It's hard to beat ramen, man. It's hard to beat it. Did you bring a stove or did you cold soak too?
Cold soaked.
Yeah, I'd imagine. Okay.
The other thing I was hitting out there was salt stick. Have you seen salt sticks?
Yep.
So those were my electrolyte plan, and those worked great because in that setting where I really wanted to minimize time to stop and mix up electrolyte drink, salt stick tablets, just pop those whenever I wanted. I had the caffeinated ones before official release, so I was having caffeinated salt stick, which was pretty convenient. So
dang, okay, I didn't know they did that.
Oh yeah, they came out with them this year. They are
a game changer.
Wonderful.
Sweet. Okay, so keep go. So I have a couple more questions on FKTs because I think these are just they're kind of fascinating to me for whatever reason. I don't know, probably because I like to run ultras too, or at least kind of do things in a fast order, I guess. But was there a piece of gear that you guys found was extremely helpful for you on this FKT? Like, what was the number one kind of piece of gear? And I'm not a gear guy by any means, but was there a piece of gear that you thought, hey, if I didn't have this, man, this would have been a lot more rough?
Yeah, for me, it was I brought like a small Nalgene that I used to eat all my meals in. So it was, a bit interesting, but that was what I came up with instead of like a pot or cold soak jar to make my food in. And I also used it to roll out my muscles. So, every night I would roll out my calves because they were getting tight. And I was also using it to roll out my back. I really didn't expect this, but my back was killing me in the beginning because my pack was so heavy with 2 weeks of food. And so I had this little Nalgene and I was using it to roll out my back. So.
Oh.
And the snow was convenient for the back problems too, because I took my, plastic bags from food and was putting snow into them and putting it down my shirt, sticking it in my bra to ice my back. So.
Yeah, there's always pros and cons of things, right?
Yeah.
There's always pros and cons. And if you are a natural, a problem solver, which I think a lot of thru hikers are, you got to be a problem solver.
Yes, yeah.
And ultra runners too. You got to be a problem solver because things come up that you didn't think of.
Yep.
And there you go. You get creative with it. I think thru hikers are some of the most creative problem solvers you'll ever see. Because I'm sure you guys have seen it on trail. Something happened was, I don't know, you guys pop a pad. You guys are running laps, or you guys got to do something.
Yeah. And you have so little gear that everything that breaks is like a puzzle to solve. How can you get around
puzzle to solve?
Or even like Renee had a frame on a backpack. Well, we both did. We had frames on backpacks break, but Renee had it break before a really heavy 8-day stretch. And so figuring out how she could repack her backpack to turn it into a heavy frameless backpack. This was a few years ago, but like that sort of problem you have to solve. Sleeping pad. Your sleeping pad can be a bit of a frame if you pack different.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, because Darwin on the trail had a video about that where he doesn't roll up his sleeping pad or anything. He just puts it against the frame of his pack, almost to use as a secondary frame, I guess, type of thing. Yeah, interesting.
That Nalgene use that Renee had, I thought she was crazy because everybody knows Nalgene's. Don't take a Nalgene on a hike. They're unnecessarily heavy. Like, that is common wisdom. It's been common wisdom for 10 years. And Renee said, no, I want something to roll with. So I'm going to take this mini Nalgene. I'm going to do my cold soaking in there, and it's my foam roller. And it's genius. I did the same thing. I followed her lead. She's always the clever one.
Yeah. So you brought one for the Ozark too.
Did you actually roll your muscles?
No, but I could have. I'm not good at stretching in general. I'm not much of a stretcher, and my muscles ended up being okay. I don't think it would have helped my feet. I was convinced enough it was a good idea. That's what mattered.
Wait, so is that what you're choosing for your one piece of gear then?
No, I've
Even
been
though you
thinking
didn't roll.
about
I was gonna
that.
say.
What is my one piece of gear that really came in handy? I don't think I have an answer for you.
I guess maybe your hiking poles and listening to
I
your
was. That's
story.
exactly what Renee. That's exactly what I was gonna say, because how he was telling that story about kind of leaning on them.
Yeah. The other thing I was actually thinking was, as you were asking the question, was my satellite device was kind of nice because I was having a few like mental issues, and I got this device that can send pictures and send voice messages, and so I was communicating with Renee from the trail when I really needed a mental boost.
Support. Yeah. Oh, really? So you could send pictures with it too?
Yeah,
Really?
the new InReach Messenger Plus. It's a little bigger, but it sends pictures and recordings.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's a definite boost than just seeing, what is it, 140 characters, and then sometimes the second message doesn't come through, or it's all
Still got all
jumbled.
those
One
problems
message is
with messages do and don't come through, and the tracking website is terrible. All of that, but still, the occasional picture was nice. I felt like Renee was out there experiencing my feat with me, even though at the end I realized we hadn't sent nearly as many messages as I felt like we had, and she had no idea how terrible
bad they
of
were.
a time I was having. She was just
I
watching
remember
how many miles I had left and thinking, he's not going to make it.
On one of your videos, it was when you reveal your foot, you take your sock off. And at first, I thought the same thing too. Renee's like, that, I think you had Leukotape or something across it.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I thought that was, at first that's what I thought as well. I thought that was some kind of, I didn't know what it was, right? But they still look terrible even after you explain, oh yeah, you see it, that's Leukotape. But yeah, man.
Yeah, that was pretty shocking for me to see.
He's like, wow, cool. Okay, so what is like the biggest lesson you guys took from each one of those FKTs in your mind? That and something that you didn't get from those long through hikes, like the CDT or the PCT. What is something that you feel like you only experienced on this FKT? Quick interruption. I wanted to let you guys know that I quit running ads on this podcast, at least on Spotify and all the other podcast platforms, because I really want to focus on building an audience here and making sure that I'm providing you as much value as possible. In return, could you guys please help me get to 100 5-star reviews on Spotify or whatever it is that you're listening to right now? Currently on Spotify, I have 67 reviews and I'm at a 4.9. So if we get that to 100, dude, I would be just so thankful. So if you guys find value in the stuff that I'm bringing to you, that would be a great way to just kind of give back to me. Thanks so much. Let's get back to the podcast.
I'll go first. It's kind of embarrassing, but I learned that I don't have a upper limit of the pain I can tolerate. So I'd probably do pretty well at keeping a secret if I was being tortured or something, because I just, it hurt so bad and somehow I walked through it. And that was an interesting thing to learn about myself.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely something that's good for ultras too. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Wow. So where do you think you'll go with that information? Is there other things you want to,
I guess I should
accomplish?
Join the CIA and start keeping national security secrets.
Maybe you should learn that you need to be safe and realize.
Yeah. I don't know if there's a takeaway. That's maybe a little bit of why what I said earlier is accurate. That it can be hard to know where the limit is, and so knowing that I can push through almost any pain, then paying attention to safety and risk of injury is maybe even more important. So I did that on this hike. Like I was chewed apart a little bit on one of our videos as an irresponsible hiker, and I don't think that is accurate. I was paying attention to my body and making sure I didn't do any serious damage, but yeah, I was pushing up against that barrier. And so,
Yeah, so now it's almost like, okay, I got to make sure, basically go until it doesn't make sense anymore, or where you can't turn back anymore from lifelong pain in some realm, right? Like, because you don't want to, obviously you want to hike for forever.
right.
And so is this one thing worth, that? And I think as I get older, it's like, I'm really more interested in longevity type of things. And, kind of how Renee was talking about her dad in his mid 60s doing tries and Ironmans. That's what I want to be
Right.
like.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
That's
the
way more
stud
important
that-
than 4 days in Missouri.
Right.
Totally.
Right. Cool. Okay, Renee, what about yours?
I think I learned that I'm, more mentally tough than I expected. And yeah, I think going into this, I was really nervous. Like, doing this, Tim and I usually backpack together. So it's like, okay, I'm out here by myself. And, I had just a lot of imposter syndrome. Like, why am I out here doing this? Why do I think I can do an FKT? Like, only extreme athletes can do this. And it turns out I did it. I mean, it might not be the most impressive record, and it's already been broken 2 times, but still I did it. And but it was a lot of mental ups and downs, questioning myself of why am I out here doing this? I don't have any business doing this. Yeah.
Man, I think that's such an important thing. That imposter syndrome, I get that with business and stuff I do. And it's like, man, I think that's one of the biggest challenges people have with anything in life, a lot of things, where they're just reaching for something that they haven't done before.
Yeah.
But then you turn into somebody that you haven't, or that you weren't before, really, essentially, right? And you could take that into other aspects. That's really cool. Tim, you did the TRT, right? And you were having some shin problems on that. What was the thing with this? Because I actually have the reason I ask is because I recently got this, I don't know, it's this little device that works your shins, your tibs. And I had this huge issue when I was at about mile 80 in my 100 where, dude, I mean, it felt like your shins were going to break apart. And you talk about doing permanent damage. That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
You got 20 miles left and you're like, oh my God, dude, like I actually might be permanently damaged from this. But at that point I was so far in, I was like, wow, I'm going to keep doing it. But one of the things I've recently got was this tip thing. And it's basically you put your feet in it. And for people on the video, I'm kind of describing this, but you put your feet through it and you put a weight on the end of it and you hang off of a bench or whatever and you go like this. And it's like you're working your shins, which is like something I've never done before, right? But man, is it effective. I've been doing it this whole last year and man, I can crush the downhills on 14ers and all the things I'm doing. So, but anyway, like what happened with your shins on that?
So first I should point out that we're talking about the 2 trips I've done without Renee, and on both of them I injured myself. That demonstrates who the smart one is between Renee and me. And I do like hiking with her a lot more, maybe partly because it keeps me safer. But in terms of shins, so what I did wrong on that was I did too many miles without being sort of properly trained up from the start. On all of our thru hikes, mostly because of Renee's wisdom, we hold back for the first week. We won't do more than 15 miles, or we won't do much more than 15 miles a day for the first week or so to really ease our bodies into adjusting. And on the Tahoe Rim Trail, it was 175 miles, I think. My plan was to do the whole thing in less than a week, so I wasn't going to hold back like that. And sure enough, 4 days in, like I could barely walk. It was exactly the type of feeling that you were just describing. Like, this hurts so bad, I'm gonna rip my shin in half. And so I did leave. I left the trail. We live in the Bay Area of California, so I left, went home for a week, and then went back to the trail and finished it up later. And yeah, it was entirely because the two options if you're trying to do something are start slow and ease into it. That's option one. Option two, train properly before you do it.
Right.
And I hadn't done either of those. So
what were you doing for mileage then that kind of made that?
Nothing crazy. I mean, depends on your perspective, but like 28 miles a day, something like that.
Wow. Okay.
But
yeah.
So big enough to do injury. But on the Ozark Trail, my first day was 60 miles, 58 miles, and every day was my average was 53 or something. So like I wasn't doing Ozark Trail style miles, but I was trained when I did the Ozark Trail. I had been getting ready for those huge days. And when I did the Tahoe Rim Trail and got my shin injured, I was like sitting at home watching Renee on the Garmin, because I did that trip right after she set her Oregon FKT.
Nice. Awesome. Well, dude, this has been great, guys. Again, where can people, I mean, I'm sure anybody that's listened to this podcast, they know all of your guys' links and everything, but for those that haven't, where can people find you? And also, can you talk a little bit, maybe before that, a little bit more about your book? The book's been great. Whenever anybody's over at my house, it's kind of one of my coffee table books that I leave on the coffee table for people to kind of just peruse when I'm boring them and they're at my house or something. And it's a really good one, man. And I think there's so many really, really good tips in there. And I kind of gave it to my ex-girlfriend to borrow before we went on a bigger hike. So, she learned some things from you guys. But yeah, can you kind of plug the book a little bit? Because it was really good.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of coffee table books, our coffee table has a stack of books on it, including that one, which is also our computer stand. So if you're watching the video, you saw it. There's the book. But anyway, it's been great. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and just I guess the book it's called Thru Hikers: A Guide to Life on the Trail, and it's a backpacking guide, and it also has some dehydrated food recipes. So
yeah. Oh, I've been referencing those. What what was harder, writing the book or doing the PCT?
Maybe
CDT.
writing the book.
I bet.
Yeah, but when we wrote the book, we had a really great editor who walked us through the whole process, and she set deadlines for us and said, okay, you guys should get this done by this day, this done by this day. We didn't have a coach on the PCT like we had an editor writing the book. So.
Like accountability part. So was it like you got to have so many words done a day type of thing, or what?
It was
the process
more like
of a
finish
book?
this chapter by this month, and 1 month later go for that chapter, and 1 month later go for that chapter.
I love it.
And that external accountability was so important. I think if we had just decided, let's write this and then send it off to a publisher, we never would have finished writing it. But we made the relationship with the publisher before anything was ever written. So it was kind of like we had to do it, or else we were letting somebody down.
Well, that's a hack right there.
Yeah.
I love
I mean,
that.
that's a hack in life. We do the same thing with running. We have a running group of friends. We meet every week. And when we don't have a designated group of friends that are running together, like it's easy to say, oh, I'll run tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. But as long as you're making ties with people that hold you accountable to others, it can be much easier to fulfill things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, whoever the editor was, I mean, they gave you great advice. I think what I really enjoy about it too is it's so visual. Like there's so many pictures in there and stuff. And I mean, it's just so nice. Every time you turn the page, there's like more pictures. I'm a picture guy. I feel like everybody says that. They're like, oh, I'm like a visual learner, which I kind of think like everybody is a visual learner to some degree. But yeah, I mean, it just makes it's nice. It's a nice change than just reading text on a page. I don't know. I like it.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. And we there's illustrations in there, and
yes, that
was pretty fun because we met someone on the Continental Divide Trail, another thru hiker, and she was a cartoonist for the New Yorker. And when the editor said we need to find someone to do illustrations, we were like, we know the person because she understands hiking and thru hiking, and so that was really, really cool to work with her, and she knows a lot, so the illustrations are great too.
Man, like, it's so funny the eclectic people that you meet on a trail. I'm sure you guys have met people from every walk of life. And then you just form these connections, and then all of a sudden you never know. You might link up later in life to do some kind of partnership like this. That's so
cool. Her name was Kendra Allenby, Skunk Bear, best illustrator of all time. But to what you just said, we've met every kind of person, and that's not always what folks expect. But on through hikes especially, you have people who are, a retired doctor with more money than anybody can count.
Right.
And people who are fresh out of school working their first, or before school, working their first part-time job or a hourly job. They make it work too. And so it's been so fun to be on the trail, meeting all these people from all sorts of backgrounds. And the other thing on a long hike, one of my favorite things is when you meet somebody, the question like, what do you do for a living? It doesn't come up ever. Right. So you can meet a friend, you get to know their values, what they enjoy, what they do for hobbies. And you realize a month later, like, oh, we've been hiking near each other for a month. I have no idea what your job is. And that is so cool. People are more
or your real name. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, or their real name. Right.
Yeah. That was a fun game on the Pacific Crest Trail is guessing people's real name.
Oh, that's hilarious. Like, what do you look like? I mean, there is some people that look exactly like their name, and there's some people that just look totally, they look like a John, but they're actually, a Chad. I don't know. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, exactly. I 100%. That's hilarious. Well, awesome. Okay. So how can people, what are your main links, your go-to links people to go to? It sounds like you guys are getting more on YouTube too, doing like longer form videos as well.
Yeah. So if folks want like a different format from our usual stuff, which is the short verticals, we've been doing longs about every 2 weeks. We've been putting out a long video, and those have been a lot of fun, and they give us a chance to show a little more detail, show a little more of the experience. And
it's been fun. We're learning how to do it. It's a different beast than putting out short videos. So it's fun.
Right. Do you see some of with shorts, you're editing kind of for retention, you know what I mean? You're doing quicker cuts, right? Like things are faster. Are you seeing that come up in your longs?
It's actually confusing to know how to do a long because of that. So as two people who were really born in the world of the best thing you can possibly do for making a video good is shorten it. So like we've always had the attitude, let's take a 90-second video, turn it into 45. Take a 45-second video, turn it into 30. Like whatever we do, that first cut, the video gets better when it gets shortened. And that actually isn't our experience with long. Sometimes those long, beautiful shots or a little bit more talking and explanation is engaging and is what people are looking for. So we're still learning how to find the balance. Nobody wants to watch a long, boring video, but people do want to be immersed in the experience, which sometimes is time. And
dude, I totally agree with that because I've uploaded some older videos. When I first got into editing, it was my JMT through hike, and then it was the Colorado Trail through hike, and both of them were very long. And recently, I did the Wonderland Trail, I did the Uinta Highline Trail, and I edited those kind of a little more for retention. They don't have as many views or as long of a watch duration as my other ones that I'm just, like you were talking about, rambling on and on, this and that. And I was even trying to be real cognizant of telling a story in those two, like the Uinta Highline and the Wonderland. And in the Colorado Trail and the other one, it's just like whatever happened to me that day is kind of what was on the screen. You know what I mean? It almost makes an organic story. You don't even have to make the story up. It's like, or not that you're making up a story, but you're not, you know what I'm saying? Like stories naturally happen
right
in a day-to-day basis. You know what I'm saying? And so It's really interesting you say that, and it's actually making me think about how I want to go forward with some of my stuff too. Because I was the same way. Like I came up short form,
Right.
retention. Yeah,
But don't listen too much to me on that, because we haven't figured out longs yet, and they're doing well. And we're having fun with them, which is what really matters. But they're not getting millions of views. They're getting tens of thousands of views, and so I think the people who really have figured out longs are they might say the totally opposite of what I just said. I have no idea.
maybe. But I mean, another big important aspect to that we didn't get short form is now you have to optimize the thumbnail. Yeah. Man, that is, holy cow, that's 75% of the video.
Right, and we keep making the mistake of going out, filming a whole video, being really happy with what we got, and then we realize, oh no, we forgot to take a picture.
I know, bro. I know. So now you're scrubbing through it, looking for like a screenshot to take. Yeah. Yep, dude. I feel you. Yeah, I know. You talk to any good person, or that's been doing YouTube for a long time. They're like, okay, shoot the thumbnail first, and then make the video. Title and thumbnail first. Blah blah blah. Make the video, type of thing. And
that might make sense,
which is hard to do when you're on a adventure.
On a hike. You don't even know. I mean, our trip on Lava Beds National Monument from a couple weeks ago, it was all about caves. So that was my mindset going in, was we were going to explore some cool lava tubes. And we got out there, the rocks were more exciting for me. So the story ends up being a lot more about rocks than it was about lava tubes.
Very nerdy, but
no, awesome. Wait, the rocks were cool. We had these they were cool. Anybody who's not into rocks will change their mind after watching this video.
Sure.
But anyway, so you just don't know. I couldn't have made an Ozark Trail video about trench foot because it wasn't part of my plan to get trench foot.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah, and that's, like I said, that's the interesting thing about these adventures is that the story, you can't go in there with the story because the story just naturally unfolds.
Right.
The obstacles, what makes a good story, obviously, is obstacles a lot of the times.
Yeah.
People overcoming obstacles. And it's, when you put yourself in an adventure, you're definitely guaranteed to get those obstacles. You just don't know what the heck they're going to be on what day and blah, 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 So it's like it just naturally comes up. But no, that's cool. I was on your guys' YouTube right now. I'm looking at it, and dang, you guys are almost at 1 million subscribers. What the heck?
We're close. We're close.
Check them out. Check them out there. And that's really cool, though. I think, but it is a different way to connect with your audience is through long form, right? Like, and the people that want to watch long form will watch long form, and then they develop even more parasocial relationship with you than in short form, really. And it's like these podcasts, and I think that's why people enjoyed listening to you guys, is because they get to hear you talk, uninterrupted for an hour. I mean, I've been interrupting every now and then, but they hear you guys where it's like, rather than a 15-second, 30-second, 45-second clip. I think it's cool that you guys do that. So yeah.
Cool.
Sweet.
And to answer your question, we are through hikers on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat. We're on Snapchat.
Oh, wow.
Facebook.
Substack. We got a Substack now.
Yeah, dude. Heck yeah. So they're busy. So check them out, guys. I'll leave those in the show notes below. And all right, guys. We'll see you for part 3, probably in another year maybe or something.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
It's always fun to chat, Chad. Thanks a ton.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you.